In a significant move towards strengthening its maritime leadership, South Africa, under the stewardship of Transport Minister Ms. Sindisiwe Chikunga, was in London recently attending the International Maritime Organization's 33rd Assembly. South Africa was seeking re-election on the IMO Council for the 2023-2024 biennium. I spoke to Minister Chikunga and I asked her why South Africa needed to be at the Assembly.
First, I think it is important because South Africa is a member state of IMO. We were there when the IMO was being formed, and we continued to serve until when we kicked out of any United Nations work, and then we were readmitted in February 1994. At that time in 1997, at the assembly, were then elected to serve into the council of the IMO. And I think we did serve with diligence, and we provided unbroken service as a council member until December 2021, when we were not re-elected. We campaigned for re-election to the council during December, and the 1st of December again this year, we were again not re-elected. We think that it is important because first, we do represent the SADC region, but also we do represent, we add into the number of countries from the continent that serve in the IMO Council, but also the number of developing countries that are serving in the IMO Council. And the absence of South Africa means that there isn't any country in the SADC region that is serving in the Council of IMO.
What has South Africa been able to do at the IMO for the SADC region in particular?
We've served in quite a number of committees of IMO. We have made our views known when it comes to issues of decarbonization of the shipping sector, ensuring that we are not left behind, but also ensuring that developing countries are assisted in terms of skills, in terms of funding, in terms of technology that might be required, in terms of research that might be required. And we have raised these issues so that it's not only the developed world that benefits from those changes that will come, but also the developing countries, but also countries that are located, such as South Africa, such as Argentina. Because if our voices are not there heard and actually raising the very issues, then we might find that the changes that come may actually impact negatively on us. And that is why it is important for countries and also for geographical, if you speak geographical representation, to happen and to be sustained so that you don't have decisions taken in your absence and they impact negatively upon you. However, we'll continue even from outside of the council to make our views heard, because we do serve in some of the committees of the IMO, even if we are outside, and we are making contributions. We have actually ratified quite a number of important protocols and conventions. We are busy also, some of them, we are localizing them in terms of ensuring that they are legislated in South Africa. We are also busy doing that.
Let's talk about the maritime sector in South Africa generally. There's been big talk about blue economy. And I just wonder, what are the biggest challenges that are on your desk at the moment that you're busy trying to solve?
What we are actually trying to solve in the maritime sector, one is to have our ports working efficiently and effectively so that we continue to be the gateway to the continent. We continue to have our ports attracting more of the ships. And therefore, we have actually looked into the freight logistic roadmap, which was approved by Cabinet. We're happy about that, which aims to separate infrastructure from operations so that operators can contest and the infrastructure be the responsibility of government and look at the funding model for the infrastructure, but also to look at what actually is causing some poor performance in some of our ports. And we have actually identified those, and we're doing a lot in that regard. We are investing, and we are seeing and actually beginning to reap fruits for that. And the performance is improving every day. But we are also looking at the rail infrastructure, because you're not going to have ports working without the rail infrastructure. We're looking at deepening our ports, particularly in the port of Durban, so that they're able to accommodate those bigger vessels that those who build vessels are now building. So we're doing a lot. We are reviewing our comprehensive maritime transport policy so that it takes into account even what we have now included in the merchant shipping bill that is before Parliament, that is overhauling an old act, which is Merchant Shipping Act, which I think it dates back to 1957. It is before Parliament. It's very technical. It's quite huge. And we think that with all those changes, we are going to ensure that South Africa is indeed a maritime state, which we are, but also it is a port state. So we are doing a lot in that regard, but also we're looking at skills so that we have people that can work in our ports. We have people that also can benefit from the ships that come to South Africa. We're engaging the shipping companies as well, so that they can also absorb our seafarers. So there is so much that is on our table.
Let's move away from the sea to the air, because also this month was International Civil Aviation Day. And what was the main message for you this year as it was marked, I believe, in Bishu in the Eastern Cape?
We actually are seeing that we are seeing in the aviation, we have got to ensure that innovation happens so that the global aviation can develop. We also are a member state of ICAO, and in that regard, we are in the ICAO Council, and we were elected in part 2 of the ICAO Council, which is countries that are big in aviation, probably easily put, do not manufacture aircrafts, and that is where we are, and we're elected, and we got enough votes, and we're very happy about that. We always want to thank the member states that supported South Africa's candidature. We have entity state-owned companies that are ensuring that our aviation happens. These will include our landlord company, which is AXA, which owns our airports, international airports, and ensuring that the aviation thrives in South Africa, ensuring that our airports are world-class, they are properly maintained, and that our runways can actually accommodate the largest aircrafts. So we think in that regard, we're doing well. We're also having our air traffic navigation services that is using the modern technology and ensuring that our airspace, which is 6% of the world airspace, is well managed and looked after by well-trained air traffic controllers that we are training here in South Africa at our academy, and they are managing our airspace very well. We are actually looking at revitalizing that technology so that we can install the latest technology that takes care of our airspace, so that we continue with our world record of 0% when it comes to commercial air crashes. We want to ensure that that record is sustained so that it doesn't happen by itself. But also we have got the regulator in the aviation sector that ensures that the standard and recommended practices as set by ICAO are adhered to by all who are operating in South Africa, whether as international airlines or domestic airlines. We are ensuring that they adhere to those. And we have been audited by both ICAO, and we improved our performance from 87.3% to 91.1%, which puts us at #1 in the continent and amongst the top 20 in the world. But also we have been audited by US in terms of our BASA, which is Bilateral Air Service Agreement. And even with that audit, we performed exceptionally well. We retained our category 1, which means that any airline can still fly from South Africa to US without any hindrances, because in terms of US standards, we meet and even surpass the standards that they have set and expect every airline that flies to their country to meet. And therefore, when it comes to aviation, we're doing exceptionally good. We definitely need to improve. We can do better. We would still want to retain our space of being the hub, and therefore we would want to see many of people who fly from their countries coming to South Africa and then to anywhere else in the world. But also, even when it comes to cargo, we want to be the cargo hub so that any cargo can actually be transported by air from South Africa. That will be your air-friendly cargo from South Africa to any part of the world. So that will be in terms of aviation. But also we're taking the message to our young people out there about carriers that we have in the aviation sector, particularly the rural areas. We also have entered into agreements with some tertiary institutions, for instance, Wits University. We're funding them for the training of aeronautical engineers so that we can have these skills. We're sending others overseas, but also in our academies here in South Africa for the training of pilots. And we also are sending some to other academies and universities outside of South Africa. We sent 5 to France, 4 came back with the highest qualification as pilots. We have sent 8 this year, again to France. We're hoping that they will again make it and come back to South Africa with those skills. So we're very busy in that regard, and we think that we are on the right track.
Minister of Transport, Minister Sindisiwe Chikunga, it's been a pleasure talking to you. Thank you so much indeed for joining us on the program.
Thank you very much, Mr. Pitandoro. Thank you.